I'm Scott Allen Miller. It's the 13th of June, 2022. This is my daily vlog of life in Central America. I'm recording here in León, Nicaragua today, as I often do. And in 9 days, I'm going to be headed with Yvonne off to Guatemala. Today is the day that we actually booked officially our bus tickets. Those are going to leave right here from León. They go from downtown. They stop in El Tunco in El Salvador and then go on to Antigua, Guatemala. So we're going to ride the whole way, which is about 17 hours. Got that booked. We leave in 9 days. When we get to Antigua, we have our hotel booked. Now we're staying right in the middle of the city, about half a kilometer from the Arch of Catalina, which is the most famous site not only in Antigua but in all of Guatemala. It is the famous arch over the main road, or one of the main roads in Antigua, where the nuns used to go from the convent on one side to, I believe, the iglesia on the other, so they could go over the road without getting hit by traffic or run over by horses or even being seen by the public. So that's kind of interesting. But that arch is now this really iconic place to take pictures, and everyone knows it as the symbol of Guatemala. So we're going to be pretty close to there and for a couple nights starting off there. So really excited that we actually started booking things, right? Like, now it's becoming real. And tomorrow I'm scheduled to do some travel planning with Brian Watson, who is coming down on July 5th, and we're going to Costa Rica. We're going to start actually in Nicaragua and then go to Costa Rica at the end of his trip. So we're looking at things tomorrow that we want to do, and he's going to be bringing me some stuff, including my new Tascam recorder that I'm very excited about. That's going to help with our channel for the kids. So today was a crazy rainy day. We had one of those just all day, never ending. Some of the day was like a steady, nice rain, and then you could go out and kind of, it was nice. And then at other times it was torrential downpour, and it kind of just went between the two. And every so often it would slow down and stop raining for a few minutes, and then it'd be right back again. So you never really got a chance to get away from it. I did record a couple episodes today. If you have watched the last 2 days, and I filmed on the iPhone, that's why I did this. I'm actually filming today's episode tomorrow, as I normally do, and it is overcast and lovely, but the rain has mostly subsided. And I'm here in the Parque Galicia while I do the recording. So today was pretty rough. I was pretty much in the office all day. The dogs basically never went for a walk. I would take them to the door and they'd be like, nope, and they would stay in, which of course caused Mia to get terrible constipation, unfortunately. She really doesn't want to go out. She's scared of storms, she's scared of fireworks, she really doesn't like rain. Clive will put up with a little bit more, but for both of them, it's a bit difficult. And so that was the day. Dominica headed off. She and April are going to Managua to watch the national soccer team, the national Partido de Futbol, play against the Bahamas in Managua. So they're doing that tonight. I'm going to move away. We've got a big speaker coming in the distance. So they're doing that. That should be an interesting time for them. And they're going to be gone until tomorrow. So they're hanging out in Managua. So Dominica was on the road most of the day. I'm hoping you can hear me okay, because I can barely hear me over the sound of that speaker. It's one of those drive-by advertisements, and they're kind of awful. I should also point out, the ground gets really slippery here during the wet season, partially because there's so much rain, but also because it brings down all the leaves and it picks up all the dirt and everything, and so it makes it much more slippery than you would have if you were just normally getting rain or whatever. Oh, they're following me. Of course, they're coming along the side road. You can kind of, we'll watch them drive by here. Here they go. Right there, slow drive by with a big thing just full of speakers blasting unnecessary stuff. That I hate. Okay, so in the office much of the day. There, he's on the video. He's very excited. And this evening, so Dominica was gone, so this evening it's the kids and I hanging out, and it's pretty easy to get Luciana to want to go to the grocery store, to the supermercado, and do some shopping, because she'll be like, oh, new food. So every so often Luciana and I will go up there, and if you watch my shorts, I did a quick video that she was in where I showed some of the grocery store, and then if you're watching for today, I actually did a longer video that the kids are not in, that showed a bit of the grocery store. Valentina has said multiple times, man, what I really want to see is videos of the grocery stores. Those are the things that are interesting because they're different everywhere. And I agree. When I go to a new country, it's a grocery store that I want to go check out. Like, it's always what's interesting. What food do you have? What does it cost? What does the grocery shopping experience look like? Like, that stuff really does vary. And it's one of those things that's actually, like, it's so mundane. Everybody does it, obviously. But it's also so different from place to place. And you're always like, well, what is it like for people in whatever place you're thinking of? That's interesting. And she watched it and she's like, this is awesome. This is what I want to see. I'm like, that's the simplest thing. Go film some grocery stores. I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to try to get some on here at some point. So we did that. I filmed a little bit. But so this evening when it was time for dinner, we're always struggling with what to eat, right? And I mean, that's even in the States. We have the same problem. Unless we're going to Taco Bell, no one knows what they want. And so tonight I'm like, can we go to the grocery store? Like, let's go find something we want to eat. And Luciana immediately is like, okay, let's do that. And Liesel's like, well, I don't know. I don't really like going to the grocery store. And we're like, well, it's not that much rain. And she's like, oh, I don't care about the rain. She's like, all right. So it was raining a bit, and the three of us walked up and went to the grocery store, to the La Colonia, which is, my dad measured this. So the Maxi Pali, which is right next to the park that I'm in right now, is just over 1,300 meters from the house, and the La Colonia is 1.5 kilometers, or 1,500 meters from the house. So it's just a tad farther, but it's almost the same, so it's not a big deal. And we walked up to the La Colonia, which is definitely better in the rain because the Maxi Pali is lower, so the rainwater floods down there more. The La Colonia is in Zaragoza, so it's higher. This is Guadalupe. You can actually, I'm going to turn around. I don't know if you can see it, but the green sign up there is the Maxi Pali, and Maxi Pali is the Walmart. It is Walmart. You go inside, it says Walmart, but it's the Walmart, the same that's in the United States. There's a Walmart like neighborhood grocery or something like that, and they're green. That is what the Maxi Pali is. That's the same store. It has the same stuff. So the Maxi Pali is the larger one, hence the name, but they will carry things that are not groceries, but not very much. So you can get a floor fan, you can pick up a TV, but real limited selection. It's just a little bit, maybe an eighth, maybe a sixth of the store is dedicated to that kind of stuff, plastic bins, tables, but basics with very little selection. And then a Pali is just the grocery store. So there's like these different levels. And then in Managua, we have a real Walmart, which is basically just like a Walmart in the United States. So we have kind of the same things, but they had to change the name because neighborhood grocery would not mean anything here. So Pali and Maxi Pali are the chains for those things. So that's right there. But we went to La Colonia, which is the fancy Nicaraguan-owned grocery chain, and they're fantastic. Their prices are good. They're well air-conditioned. The places are beautiful. Everything's well laid out. It's where, if you can, that's kind of where you want to shop. We also have La Union, which is also quite nice. We don't have one quite as close. My dad might measure that and give us a feel for how far away that is. I walk by it regularly, but it's in El Centro, whereas La Colonia is right here in Zaragoza, which is right next to us. I'm in southeastern La Barrio right now, and that's Guadalupe that I just showed with the Maxi Pali. So we walked up there and we did our grocery shopping, and that went great. We walked all around and found a bunch of different things, and the girl's like, I want to try this, I want to try that. So one of the things we wanted to try that Liesel's always asking for is chips and salsa. So we found a bunch of salsa. We found Costa Rican salsa, we found Guatemalan salsa, and we found the Texan salsa. I don't know where it's actually made, but it's the same one we buy in Texas, and a pretty decent selection. So like a creamy chipotle, habanero red, a jalapeno green, regular chipotle. You know, there's probably like 8 different styles, plus just regular red, regular green, mild, medium, like. It's definitely not the selection you would get in Texas, but it was a pretty good selection. And we've not seen chips and salsa yet in the country. So that we found this was really good because it's going to satisfy a whole thing that the kids have. We also recently discovered Guatemalan chips, like tortilla chips. We normally buy ones from Honduras, and they're pretty good. They don't really make them here. So you're not going to get them from Nicaragua because it's not much of a thing. But Honduras makes good ones. Guatemala makes like the artisanal ones, and so we got some of those. They're really good with like flax and chia seed, like in sesame seeds roasted in. Those are really good. So we got a bunch of salsa. We actually spent a bit of money. and a bit of that. We got some yogurts and cheeses, and we went and got fresh pasta, like seriously fresh pasta, right? Made in Illinois of all places. And so we got tortellini with cheese, and we got ravioli with spinach and ricotta inside. And both girls are like, yeah, let's do this. This looks exciting. Lisa was like, I kind of don't feel like dairy tonight, but then when she saw that, she's like, I'll do some dairy. And then we picked up some pesto sauce, like really good looking pesto from Barrillo. And so we got that and a few other things, and then we were ready to go, right? And as we went to leave, we checked out, and I'm like, oh, I don't like the sound that I'm hearing. And you walk to the front door, and everybody that had been shopping is just standing at the front door, and it is a torrential downpour. I'm like, oh no. So we just sat our bags down on one of the checkout counters and waited. And we waited for probably 15 minutes, and it did not let up. And so we walk, and you're like, every so often a car would drive by, because this is at night, right? So it's dark. And when a car would drive by and their lights would be on the road, you would see it was going through a sea, right? There was no road, it was just water. And earlier, I should say, in the day, we had gotten some pictures from the hotel. The hotel was actually underwater. All the way through the hotel, we had at least, an inch of standing water, if not several inches flowing through the hotel. So the water's high, just in general. We get out and we're like, well, maybe if we stand outside, we'll know when's a good moment to go. So we worked our way outside and stood under the lip of the roof up against the wall, and that was pretty dry. But the water was so high, and you've seen my videos that a lot of Leon has high curbs. Now, some of them are really high, like this. Look, obviously the water's not this high, but there's probably a good 8 to 12 inch curb at La Colonia. The water was over the curb, flowing across the sidewalk and partway up the ramps into the grocery store. This was high. So standing on the sidewalk, we're in flowing water. And we're like, I don't feel comfortable stepping out into that street. It is so deep. This is going to be absolutely crazy. And it's really cold for us, right? We're used to the warm. And the girls are like, I don't know, we're gonna wait. And then finally they're like, can you call a taxi? So I pull out my phone and I try to get a hold of Leo, and before I can dial, a little green car pulls up in front of us, and he rolls down the window and he's like, get in, and I'm like, it's Ricardo! And so we jump in with Ricardo, who's the taxi driver. If you remember, over a year ago, he spent 3 days with me in Managua dealing with customs. And I haven't seen him too much since then. Every so often he shows up. And we're like, oh my gosh, thank goodness it's Ricardo. So we just jump in the car, and he knows where the house is. It just takes us right home. But he actually had a hard time driving down the street. The water was so deep, he had problems getting around. And that's up at La Colonia. So as we come down here to La Barrillo, like the water's flowing this way. So we're driving down a waterfall basically, and all the streets are just underwater. Everything's just pouring down the streets. It was nuts. Before I forget, I'm gonna turn around. We've got, actually I don't have to do that. I can just do this and show you guys. There's one horse over there. I'm in the big city, so this is not a one-horse town. This is a two-horse park. I mean, there are entire places in the American Southwest that are smaller than this park, can only handle a single horse. But not around here. Not around here. Two-horse park, that's how we roll here in Nicaragua. So we got back to the house, and we're like just completely drenched, and we're disgusting because we've been, ankle deep minimum in flowing garbage water on the streets. Now it's been raining all day, so it really wasn't that dirty, but it's still gross, right? You don't really want to be wading through it if you can help it. But at least it's rainy season, so it's pretty much cleaned up the worst of the streets, but so we got back, we washed up, and I immediately started making dinner, and I gotta say, this was a pretty amazing dinner. We made all the pasta, because it was fresh. It's got to be made pretty quickly. I cooked all of that. Neither of the girls was really familiar with pesto. Like, they've had it, but they're not really like, what exactly is pesto? Do we like pesto? They weren't sure, but they thought it looked good in the jar. They were both like, yeah, I want to try it. And so I made it, and we didn't heat it up. We put little dollops of pesto on each ravioli, because this is like, you only get like 5 kind of thing. And it was fantastic, right? The hot ravioli heated up the pesto just the right amount, and you just take one bite at a time. It was an amazing dinner. It was one of the best Italian I've had since being in Italy. So that was delicious. It was a little bit expensive compared to, it's certainly not buying dried spaghetti and throwing some tomato sauce on it, but it was really, really good. So happy. And Luciana was just like, this is fantastic. And Liesl, it wasn't her favorite, but she really liked it. Luciana prefers her mother's spaghetti with her tomato sauce, because that's like her comfort food. Liesl prefers salmon pasta in Rome, of course, so do I. But everybody thought this was a really, really good dinner option and a nice change of pace. And it wasn't too heavy because pesto's pretty light, even though it was a kind of cheesy pesto. And fresh pasta is pretty light, and the filling, you know, being spinach, really light. It was perfect. And then we did try a little bit later, or separate from dinner, we had a little bit of the chips and salsa. The chips we've had before, they're really good. The salsa was excellent. We had the Costa Rican salsa so far. Just a regular red, medium salsa, just a tiny bit of spice. Really good flavor, tastes really fresh. That's going to satisfy our salsa cravings for sure, and we're going to try some other ones too. And I'll get some shots for you guys. But that, really good. And and then we found some other things. We found some japones, which are cracker-covered peanuts here. Why they're called Japaneses is a weird cultural thing, but japones are a really big snack item here. We found ones that were both in Cajun spice and in sour cream and onion. Big win, made in Nicaragua, delicious, and those are always a great snack, right? Cracker-covered peanuts, it's not the healthiest thing, but it's pretty good, right? It's not like full of terrible toxic ingredients. And so we had a really fun night hitting the grocery store. I did have a meeting this evening, so after we did dinner, hung out with the kids for a little bit, then I had to go work for about an hour or so, and then we came over and hung out while they played Genshin Impact. I didn't do any recording, I didn't do any playing myself. I should know, it is raining. It got brighter, the sun came out, and now it's raining on me while I'm doing this, so you never know what you're gonna get out here. So they played Genshin Impact for several hours. Luciana is determined that I'm going to be able to play Genshin Impact with them. And granted, I do wish that I could. I don't love the game, but it's pretty nice. I don't dislike the game. I don't like the balance. I like playing the game. I love the graphics. I think the story's okay. The characters, most of it's fun. What I don't like is there's like these sudden boss battles and out of nowhere, and they're way too hard compared to the rest of the game. So I'll be like playing, and then suddenly there's something really hard that I can't do. And it's like, oh, that takes all the fun out of it. I was enjoying the story, I was enjoying the exploration, I was enjoying the cooking, like all these different pieces I enjoy, and I don't have to be good at this action fighting thing. And then all of a sudden I have to do this complicated fighting battle that's actually quite hard and requires skills I haven't needed for the last 2 hours. And I'm not prepared for it, and by the time it happens, I'm always tired, and I'm not skilled. I don't know how to do the things that need to be done for the battle, and I find it very frustrating, especially given that there's serious problems with the controls with the game. So that's one of the things that Luciana's been trying to fix. We have the Steam controllers, and they just don't work. It doesn't support Steam controllers, and there's some online guides that are like, do this, do that, you'll get it to work. No. And even if you get it to hook up, it doesn't work, and it doesn't detect it. It's just a big pain. So Luciana worked on that for a while. She's like, this is the wrong thing. And she comes back with a PlayStation 4 controller that I bought while we were in Texas and could not get to work. And I'm like, hun, I couldn't get that to work. You can play with it all you want, but just be aware it could be frustrating. I didn't get it to work. And within very little time, she suddenly had it charged and connected to Steam. It showed right up on Steam. She's like customizing the glowing colors on the controller, and immediately got Genshin Impact to detect it, and was able to start playing the game with the controller. So, wow. So very impressed with Luciana for, one, taking the initiative to be like, I'm gonna be tech support and figure this out. And also being able to figure it out, stuff that I had not figured out. She did it faster than I gave up on, right? Like, this was pretty good. And then actually got it to work, and it's going to make Genshin Impact something that's actually fun to play. Now, the one thing I don't know, it'll work, right? But for Genshin Impact, it's plugged in through a long USB cable right now. I don't know if we can get it to work wirelessly, which is how it's supposed to work. That will be really frustrating long term if we can't figure out the wireless for the controller. But even plugged in, it's way better than anything else we've had and will function. So that will actually allow me to try playing and hopefully make it that the frustration is low enough that I don't give up on the game and I'm able to hang out and play with them. Because they've been wanting me, you have to get to level 16. It's a meaningless thing, but it's like a good 50 hours of gameplay. You have to get to this level 16 in order to be able to play with other people. And what the girls want is that we can play together in the same world and have adventures together. So I'm trying to get to the point where I can join their game world and we can play together rather than it just be each of us playing the same game separately. And that should make it a lot more fun. And that's the whole goal. So that's why they're pushing so hard for me to figure that out. So trying that. And that was our day. It was pretty late by the time we were done with all that, so I didn't actually game tonight, but probably tomorrow I will play some Genshin Impact with them. And as well as that, please remember to like and subscribe. Leave your comments below, ask your questions, consider coming to visit everybody here in beautiful Nicaragua, and I will see all of you tomorrow.